guys, let's go ahead and jump on into this discussion on inflation. As you guys know, there was an announcement that was made. Inflation continued to worsen in March as gas and rent costs rise. Prices were 8.5% higher in March than a year earlier. We're seeing quite a bit of inflation coming in. I guess when everybody was getting stimulus checks, that may have caused some inflation when you have to print $6 trillion to keep the economy moving instead of putting an actual fit. You know what? We gotta kick it in four-wheel drive for this discussion. I'm gonna get heated, guys. Man, I am so tired of people destroying our money. That's why we love Bitcoin. If you have not bought Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin. There's only one solution, and it's Bitcoin. It is the greatest solution to one of the biggest problems that humanity has ever faced, especially financially. Bitcoin will fix this problem of inflation, but you need to be in it to actually experience it. Point is, we've seen major increases in inflation. In fact, if we look over here on BLS.gov, that is the Bureau of Labor Statistics. These are the people that report CPI. You can see on all items, it is currently sitting at 8.5% as reported. You can see food is sitting at 8.8%, and the real kicker is energy sitting at 32%. That's gas prices going up. That's natural gas prices going up. That is electricity prices going up. All of those energy prices are going through the roof for a multitude of reasons that I'm not going to get into. Some of them geopolitical, having to do with Russia being one of the largest oil and gas exporters in the world, also having to do with there not being enough drilling in America. A lot of things go into that, but a lot of it also does come down to the debasement of the currency through major money printing and slam to the floor interest rates over the last 2 years. Other major categories less than food and energy sitting at 6.5%. So it's food and energy that are driving up this inflation number to 8.5%. Now, the thing that is pretty scary here on U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics is this number right here. When I was doing some research, I noticed this number. It says plus 1.2% CPI in March of 2022. You look at that and you might say, okay, since last year, inflation's up 1.2%. That's pretty high. But then you click on this little chart right here, and it brings you over to this chart right here, and you scroll down and you realize, you might have to adjust the screen to see this. You see this little bitty chart over here that shows you monthly, year-over-year annualized inflation changes. What that just means is that from February to February, it was one number, and then from March to March, it was another number. Take the difference. That's where you get these numbers. January, we saw an increase of 0.6%. February, we saw an increase of 0.8%. March, we saw an increase of 1.2%. I'm no technical analyst. Oh, wait, I am, so my job is to do trend analysis. That looks like that number is going up. And based on the amount of money that was printed over the last 2 years and the fact that it takes sometimes 10 years for inflation to fully kick in because the economy of the world is a major system, that number is likely only going to continue to increase. And by the way, most people didn't realize this, but it's been this bad for a while. It just hasn't been 1% in the entire record of this going back 10 years. We were looking at 0.6%, 0.7%, 0.9% in April, May, and June of last year, 0.9% in October, 0.7% in November, 0.6% in December. Now we've seen 1.2%. We have never before in the last 10 years seen a 1.2%, even anything higher than a 0.9% increase in inflation annualized in a single month. I told you guys that inflation is going up by 1% a month. Well, now we have the proof of that. BLS, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, came out and announced it officially. And they've gone ahead and proven it. And by the way, while we're looking at inflation data, you've probably noticed that CPI does not include real estate. The reason that they say that is because Consumer Price Index is supposed to include a basket of consumer goods. Homes are not consumer goods. They are assets, so sometimes they include rent and mortgage prices, but they don't include the actual home value. That is a big mistake, in my opinion, in CPI because home prices are a big part of this. People used to be able to afford a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home for their family. Now you can't do that on an average American income. If you look over here on Fred, you can look at real residential property prices for the United States. Quarter 1 of 2022, this number was sitting at 94 points. Quarter 4 of last year, it was sitting at 101. We don't have data for quarter 1 of 2022 yet, but it's likely going to be more like 120 points. That means that we are up over 25% nationwide, at least, if not more, on housing prices in less than 2 years. That is 12% inflation a year in the real estate market, which is even worse than what we're reporting in the Bureau of Labor Statistics over here with CPI. A lot of people think that, oh man, my house value is going up. That's great. No, your home value is not going up. The value of the currency that you're denominating it in is going down. Michael Saylor talked about this in one of his interviews. He talked about how the home that he owns in, I believe it's Miami, is worth $50 million. It was sold in 1933 for $100,000. Is the home worth that much more, or is the currency worth that much less? It's probably a little bit of both, but it's mainly the debasement of the currency because we're trying to pay for things that we just can't afford. Here's the deal. I told you I was going to get heated. There is one solution, guys, to this. There's one solution to the entropic decay of the value of our currency for the physicists out there. There's one solution, and it's called Bitcoin. It is the only thermodynamically sound digital energy conservation system that we have. What that means in English is that it is the only system that does not leak value every year through inflation. Bitcoin is the only proven system in the history of mankind that does not leak value because of inflation. That is a revolutionary concept that does not exist in the physical world. Even gold is inflated 2% a year through mining. That means over the course of 30 to 50 years, you're going to lose half of your value in gold because of the mining thereof. So that's not very helpful because that just barely combats inflation on a good year, which is supposed to be 2%. Now it's sitting at 8.5%. The only answer is Bitcoin. So that's why we see things like Bitcoin going up and up and up and up and up over the years. So the reason we talk about inflation so much is because it is the reason that Bitcoin was created, not the only reason, but the main reason that Bitcoin was created. Bitcoin was created to be the financial sovereignty solution to the financial insovereignty system that we have called the international banking system, the international monetary system, and the current state of the economy under Keynesian economic models. This blood diamond that we're seeing on the weekly chart for Market Cipher, great. Let Bitcoin drop, because then we're going to get to buy more. Then we're going to get to load up our bags and go to the moon with Bitcoin when Bitcoin goes to $1 million in 2022 US dollars by the end of the decade. I do believe that that will happen, and it's going to happen because of these insane inflation statistics. Tim, what are your thoughts of inflation going up 1.2% in less than 30 days?
You know, it's funny. We actually talked about this in a video I shot, I think a little over a month ago. You want to hear some good news? 8.5 is actually a phenomenal number for the total. And you want to know why? Is because economists who have constantly been under-predicting, like last month when we saw the number was 7.9, economists had predicted 7.2 or 7.6, somewhere in that region. Then it was 7.9. They actually, a lot of economists were predicting 9 or higher. So the fact that we only have 8.5 is actually kind of funny that we're going down. But why did it go up so high? We talked about that also in that video, and that is that we thought, or some people thought, that the war in Ukraine and the impacts of the war in Ukraine had impacted March's numbers. No, they had only begun to impact them. We're actually just now seeing the impact of that war and what it's doing to the economy. So I'm not surprised, Jeb. I'm actually, to be honest, a little relieved that the number was only 8.5. And that's funny to say because that's the highest number we've seen since the 1980s. And yet there was a lot of concern it could have been way worse. But kind of echoing even something you said a little bit earlier, people need to wake up, and people are going to wake up. Bitcoin is a hedge against inflation. The truth is, when there isn't FUD in the market, when there's high inflation, the Bitcoin price actually goes up. It's when power comes back to the US dollar. It's when we're talking about these interest rate hikes that would give power back to the US dollar. That's what's flooding people out and saying, I don't know if I want to be in these risky assets. But here's what people need to remember. And you guys already know this. So it's not even about remembering. It's about, hey, I need to consciously have this on the tip of my brain when I'm thinking about my risk assessment and if I actually want to get into Bitcoin right now or I want to hold US dollars. Let's say they do start to fix inflation. Let's say these interest rates go up high, the power of the US dollar continues to come in. That's not good for the economy, but it is good. If we're just talking about what's good for the US dollar, it is good for the US dollar. But it will die again. Someone will come in, whether it's Powell in this current Fed or is it another person that's elected in the position, they will continue to pump out dollar bills. They will continue to raise inflation, and then we'll be in this mess all over again. Why are we continuing to kick the can down the road and say, well, they're trying to fix it now, so let me not invest in Bitcoin. Let me actually even liquidate some Bitcoin and put it back to US dollars. I'm raising value. No, the dollar might get better over the next couple of months, maybe over the next year, but it's going to start dying again. It's time for us as a people to go ahead and wake up and say, there is no solution. You keep saying there's a solution. You keep temporarily fixing it like a Band-Aid on a wound or like a pacifier in the baby's mouth, but sometime it's going to implode, and I'm going to wish that I had beforehand said, you know what? Even if the US dollar starts to get power, I'm done with the US dollar. I'm done investing in the US dollar. I'll use it for what I need to continue to survive and feed my family. But past that, I'm moving my money into something that's way more sound, and that's Bitcoin.
You know what would be a great thing is if there was an amendment passed for 1, a balanced budget, and 2, that you were not allowed to print any more U.S. dollars without a supermajority vote from Congress. That right there would help to solve the problem. But even that wouldn't be enough because that is written in human handwriting, and that can be changed and that can be overturned. You know what can't be changed? The programming of Bitcoin, because you can't go around and change 100 million computers that it's on and the programming thereof. Bitcoin is the most sound money that was ever created. Even an amendment to the United States Constitution would not be as powerful as Bitcoin as the backing, not the backing, as the official currency of the US dollar, of the United States. The only reason that probably won't happen is because Bitcoin does not have the transactional throughput to maintain a sovereign nation of 330 million people. But its its economics of its sound money principles is something that we very much need to be implemented.
Whoa!
Whoa!
Look at this guy.
He watched the entire video.
What a cool guy.
I think the next thing that he wants to do is hit the like button and then probably even subscribe to the channel.
And perhaps even comment down below what he thought.
That would be pretty cool.
Wow, what a cool guy.